Brody!
Coloring is God's natural.
How's it going?
So many people wonder if I ever encounter difficulties when I go into production for a movie, because it's not just what you see on camera, but like so many other things can be affected. Would you like for me to tell you about some difficulties?
Please do.
Yes.
There's no, it's not like we have asked the question
No.
off camera.
No, never. So I think really, to be really honest about the entire series, there's a reason that I shoot them all at my house. It's because it gives me a certain degree of control. I don't have to worry about creepy homeowners being angry that we're running into overtime. It gives me a lot of control in that if I want to have performers take a nap in the living room, that's all right as well. The only time I went off the board on that, I won't tell you which volume, but feel free to see if you can figure it out. One of them I shot on location, and there were so many issues with it from the very beginning. The first being that I scouted the location and chose the house based on features that I wanted for the movie, and when I got there the day of production, it had changed and those things weren't at the house at all anymore. The homeowner was one of those people that wants to lurk, and they think that since they've rented their house out for a shoot location, it gives them the right to just stop and stare at the performers as they're having sex, and sometimes that makes people a little uncomfortable. And then the other thing that happened was, and I'm going to say this in two parts, but just know that it's not the first thing that I had a problem with, it's the second thing I had a problem with. I booked a girl that I really wanted to feature, and she showed up, and I didn't realize it, but she was pregnant. So she's 5 or 6 months pregnant. That wasn't the bad thing. The bad thing was she was very sick. So she's running a fever. She also had horrible morning sickness. So I spent a great deal of my day taking care of the pregnant girl instead of shooting my movie. Of course, that made us run into overtime, and the homeowner charged me for overtime, and then wanted to charge me to wash everything and wipe everything down, and we don't leave a mess when we shoot these movies. So it was just all around, it was bad. Luckily for me and my fantastic editor, everything came together in the end, and you can't tell that it was a fiasco, but those are the days where a lot of the time I stress out right before a shoot and I lose sleep the night before. But that day, everything that I was afraid of actually happened. Like, bad stuff just kept on happening. But you just have to power through, because it's not like you can give up. If you give up, it doesn't get done, the movie doesn't get made, and you don't get to see it. I persevered.
Alright, so on a more positive note, what was your favorite movie to write?
Oh, wow.
No more
You
pressure.
have great questions.
Sorry.
Here's the deal with me and writing, and I'm actually working on a book right now. In this whole process of both writing features and writing the educationals, because I write those word for word as well, I've realized that I have to be motivated when I write. I cannot write on assignment. So if you tell me that I need to write a movie about a race car driver who goes to a small town and falls in love with a waitress, I can't do it. It has to be something that comes from inside me. It has to be something I'm either really curious about, or I've seen it happen in real life, or it's a fantasy of mine. That being said, I like movies that are a little bit on the darker side, that make people think. Love Always was a lot of fun to write. Love Always is about a guy who's having an affair, he has a heart attack, and both women show up in the hospital. And it's very, it's not a simple story, right? Like, I like to challenge people and get in their heads a bit, you know? The first movie I wrote, What Girls Want, was Too Light. 3 Days in June was, again, semi-dark, made people think, for sure. Out of all of the educationals, I would say my favorite one to write was BDSM for Beginners. Again, that'll keep coming up as a favorite.
I'm so excited to watch it.
Yeah, I love it.
I just like the idea. We get to rewatch them now with the idea of doing a scavenger hunt to find them.
Yeah,
Find the
to find the house.
Find the rogue location.
Yeah.
Do it. You could probably do it. If you've seen a few, you'll be able to pick it out. But right now, I have a few feature scripts that I've been working on. So I'm kind of going back to writing features because before I retire, I think from being in front of the camera, I think I have some stories that I want to get out, and I don't want anybody in the part but me. So I'm working on one called Burnout, another one called Lovesick. Burnout's just about done. Lovesick has been an idea for a really long time, and it's super, super dark.
So just kind of like it's something that never even really kind of like occurred to me. How do you come up with the inspiration? Like, where's the muse for porn? Like, I understand like having a hot kind of fantasy, but like, how do you continue that into a full production? Like, that just seems like it would be a whole process.
It is. It's a process and it's challenging. I have to put the fantasy into context. So writing for myself is generally easier if I'm daydreaming about a sexual scenario that I've always wanted to try. Then I'll say, well, what does that look like? You know, how does that come about? Who's involved in that? Is there a backstory? Does something happen after that? You know, where do we go from there? And a really great example of a movie like that I didn't write, but that I did star in, and that was directed by David Lord, is Casual Encounters. And he came to me with a pitch about this movie, and the thing that got me was that he said he envisioned like a gangbang style scene shot at night in the middle of just like a dirt parking lot, with me getting out of a car with someone, and I'm blindfolded, wearing a trench coat and lingerie, and I'm left in the middle of this area, and one by one, the cars turn on their headlights, and I'm surrounded by cars, and there are people in all of the cars just watching me, but I don't know because I'm blindfolded. And then one by one, guys get out of the car, and we do it on the ground, at night, outside. But it was such a hot fantasy, I got into it right away. That's how the movie came about. And then there was a storyline that kind of went with that. So I just think about fantasy and context, and I go from there. That's the short answer.
That's crazy. No, that's awesome. That's crazy. Like, it's...
Well, I'm sure that one wasn't super easy to film, because I mean, filming at night alone can be.
Yeah.
How do you get the lighting that you need?
It was,
the cars
yeah,
like,
it was really tough. The stills from that movie are incredible. Everyone just did such a great job, and the guys did a really good job performing with me and keeping me engaged. But yeah, it's at night. It was about 37 degrees outside. I'm on the dirt in really, really high heels, stockings, and I'm corseted. So blindfolded and corseted. It was definitely a challenge for me. But I did a DP. Yay me!
Just that whole description is like the definition of like an artist suffering for their work. Like, that's awesome. That's commitment.
If it would have been such a fantasy of mine, I don't think I could have gotten through it.
You can imagine, like, we're pretty used to 36-degree weather.
Right.
Just being on the ground in 36-degree weather, not wearing much. That sounds like
Yeah.
shivering just thinking about
You guys
it.
kept me warm. It was good.
Yeah, that's.
I could do it. I could do it.
Yeah.
Like, get me in contact with your agent. I can.
What is this?
Just kind of one last one. Sorry to keep kind of taxing onto that. This was just a funny story, and as far as like something that you mentioned in your training at our other store. There's restrictions on what you can and can't make. Obvious ones are
Sure.
permittable. There's just one in particular example that was kind of an interesting, if you care.
To elaborate.
So what some people don't realize is that in order to survive now in the days of porn piracy, we have to get our content to as many places as possible. So that means that not only are we selling DVDs, but it's going onto websites, and it's going into Hospitality Network, which is the hotel movies that you might see. It's just VOD and SVOD, and one of our payment processors handed us down these memos of what we can and cannot shoot and different scenarios, and some of them are super obvious, like you were saying, you know, but we were just told that vampires are now off limits because I think their verbiage was like, vampires are not human, so that breaks the bestiality law or something like that. And it's like, wait,
So
you really don't understand this, do you?
No more Twilight.
They were entirely human. They just died and became a vampire.
So it's actually necrophilia.
It's necrophilia. Don't get me wrong. By all means, put that down. That was just.
That's already on the list then. That's
See,
okay.
why
That
not
made
defend
more
it? I
sense.
don't know. Like,
Yes.
me and just the Team Edward fans, like we're.
Right.
I feel so
Drama.
sorry for all the
I know.
Twihards.
What are we gonna do?
Just missing out.
I know. I think fangs are sexy.
Right?
Like not in a dead sort of
Right?
way, just in a like goth sexy way.
Well, it makes biting more fun too.
Of course,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
now does that mean that zombies are out of the question too? Because
That's a good point. Yeah.
yeah, no more zombie porn, y'all.
Where does it end?
Like you can't watch
Just say
The
werewolves,
Walking
I'm
Dawn
sure.
or something
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
or-
Oh yeah,
Sure,
werewolves
are out.
Werewolves are out for
Vampires,
sure.
zombies.
That was on the
What
last.
See
memo.
now, like with the vampire one, I can already imagine on the porn set, like garlic breath would already be like a nail save, like a mood killer. Like so that makes a little sense. I don't. The weird thing is, like I totally see where you're coming from like the whole processing. Like there's like just working in an adult like retail thing. There's things that we're like we'll have so many people just like, no, we won't do that for you because you sell this stuff, and it's just like. You probably buy this stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know.
Let's look under your bed.
Yeah.
See what vampires we find under there.
Like, I want to know what's in your like bedside drawer. There's just little teeth, maybe a zombie makeup kit. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Like,
Seriously.
sometimes you just can't get off unless if it's a zombie with vampires for fangs. Like, I get it. Been there.
What I'm so afraid of is because I'm such a fan of anal sex and butt plugs, and I have fake fur butt plugs, and I'm afraid somebody's going to tell me that if I use one of them, I'm being an animal, so I can't do that anymore. Like, I'm going to have to shoot all the furry butt plug porn that I can.
Do it now.
Well, I still can. You heard it here first. I need to go and be a squirrel. I'll be right back.
All right, so she's gonna go film some squirrel scenes. We're gonna finish up with the event. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can leave them below in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Follow her on Facebook and Twitter and
Follow me on
Instagram.
Twitter because it's much better. And my Twitter is the Jessica Drake. My Instagram is Jessica Drake. I'm also on OnlyFans now, and that's a downloadable app where you get to message me and get custom videos and all kinds of fun stuff. Also, you can see everything that I do. Okay, almost everything that I do except for the squirrel porn at wicked.com. So check out wicked.com. You can see all the movies that I perform in, the movies that I've written, the movies that I have directed, my line of educationals, me, it's all there. So thanks for watching.
Bye, guys. They need to make furry grinder.
Yes,
Why
I'm
is
sure
that
they
not
do. They
Pretty
not?
sure that exists.
I'm sure they have to.
I'm like 99% sure that's gotta exist.
It must.
I just like how we just all trade chairs. Like, it's